So here we have our widget list that displays several widgets, and presumably what we would like to be able to do is be able to move them around when when we drag this thumb around, and we would like to be able to edit them, maybe change the title, right? Change the URL for the image, change maybe copy and paste this content from wherever I am. I'd like to be able to change the URL for the YouTube widget. So we're gonna need editors, different editors for different types of widgets, right? So that if I click on the cog for the header, is going to take me to an editor that will allow me to change that title. This one would allow me to type the URL. This one will allow me to type some other URL for the video, right? So this was pretty trivial. I'm going to focus on the image, right? See what that might look like, right? So let's implement the image editor for this image widget, all right? So let's look at the where that image is, and it's right here. And so here's a cog that if we click on that, we would navigate to that editor. So let's make this an href that is going to point to a widget image editor, right? So let's call it widget image editor.html, right? And let's there we go, right? So which doesn't exist just yet, right? So let's see if we hover that, if we refresh and we click on it, it wants to navigate to something that doesn't exist quite yet. All right. So let's implement that. Let's see. We can save this. Save as widget. What is it? Widget image editor. Why am I not there? Oh, there it is. So most of this content is going to go away. So let's remove. We're going to just keep the nav. Say that this is widget image editor. Okay, and we're going to keep the container fluid and remove all the widgets. Right, so let's see if that works again. Let's click on that. If we click on the editor, it goes to the widget image editor, right? And in here, it's mostly just a form, right? And we already know how to create forms, right? So let's do that fairly quickly. We'll have let's see, we'll have one label for the name of the widget, right? And then an input field, and that it's going to be maybe an ID of the name of the widget, and we're going to paint it so that it's a form control. I think that's it, and this is for name. I think there's another one for the text. So this is for the text and texts and text, right? So let's refresh and see what that looks like. There it is. So name and text. All right. So the other element that I'd like to introduce to you is the file upload input field, right? So let's do that. Let's copy this, right? And this would allow you to select the file that you want to upload. You can either type in a URL, right? A URL for the that you want to just copy and paste, right? Or you can upload an image from your file system. Yes, right. So let's do the file upload. So this is file upload. So this would be file and file, right? And here, notice that that's the regular input field where you can type. But if we use another type other than the default type, notice that all these are using text type, right? That's the default type for these input fields. But if you override that and say that I want to use the file type, okay, this becomes an input field that you can click on it and allows you to navigate to the local file system, right? And then upload a video or whatever file you want to upload. On a phone or a tablet, it will open up the your image browser, wherever you have your photos, right? It uses a native photo library browser, right? It allows you to navigate to wherever your images are. You can select one or several, and then when you say OK, it selects those files. Notice that if I select a file and I say open, right, notice that the name of the file is selected. Okay, this is this input field keeps track of a handle on the actual file that you're going to upload. It doesn't actually let you upload it. It only allows you to select it. Right? There's going to be additional work that we need to do to be able to actually upload to the server. All right? And we'll do that a little later. I just want to point out that that first of all, the way this element works, right? This input field works, is very specific, right? The way it looks and the way it behaves is very specific, and the reason is that it's a very secure element, right? The browser makes a lot of effort to protect how this input field behaves, and the reason is that it's giving you access, right, to local file system, right? It's one of the few places where where a browser, has access to local resources, right? Typically, browsers, right, are disallowed from accessing local file system. They can't access outside networks. They can't, programmatically and things like that. So there's a lot of effort to protect the behavior of this, right? For instance, you cannot programmatically, you can't write JavaScript that once this opens, it doesn't allow you to navigate the various directories and do a list of the files and see what files there are. You can't programmatically do that, right? Once you click that first button, it has to be a human being, right, using the mouse and keyboard to actually interact with this element, right? Yes.
You can write automated Java programs which go to your stuff and open a web browser.
I'm sorry?
You can write Java programs which open your stuff like that.
That initiate the opening, right? So yeah, I was about to come to that, right? So what a lot of people do, because well, that's one point. The other point is that it's pretty ugly, right? And other than styling the borders like we did here, that's the extent of the styling. Notice that the button is still using the default styling gray, right? So it looks pretty ugly. It doesn't match the rest of the look and feel of the website, right? So what a lot of developers do is that they'll either create an image, right, and just plop it on top of this input field, right, so that you're not looking at the ugly choose file elements, right, and they use the same technique we just used earlier with using position absolute, right. It'll position the image right on top of it, right, or a div. They'll create their own divs with their own toolbar, right. And they'll put it on top with their own glyphicons, with their own art, and they'll put it on top. And if you click on it, you can use JavaScript to listen for clicks on that other div, right? And then kind of do like a proxy that if I get a click on this other image or on this other element, I can then redirect that click onto this button right here. That can be automated, right? Initiating the browsing can be automated, right? You can dynamically generate a click event onto that button. After you're here, right, it has to be a human being that accesses it on the browser anyway. We'll see that on the server, you can list all the files that you want. Right? You don't have any of those restrictions on the server. Right? This is only on the browser side. Everybody okay? All right. Okay. The other thing is that notice that by default you can only choose only one file. Right? You can turn on multiple file access by turning on multiple, right? And that would allow you to select several files. with your holding the command or the shift key, right? And when you select it, it just keeps track of all the 4 files that you selected, right? When we work on the server, starting in a couple weeks, we'll see how we can actually upload this to the server. All right? Okay. All right. Let's see. The other thing here would be that we want to have we're editing a widget, and one of the options would be that we want to delete that widget, and so we might want to use a button to do that, maybe danger, and button that behaves as a block, and this would be delete. Right, and notice that we have the margins below the input field. Okay, and that's because we had styled it that way. Remember, from styles. From the style sheet, remember that we had, where is it? We have we're saying input.form control, right? We're adding our own margins of 5 pixels. Remember that, right? If we didn't have that, right, we would have our default, the default behavior would be not have that for those 5 pixels. Yes? Right. All right, so let's put that back. Now on the heading widget, we have more or less the same elements, right? The name, the text. In that one, we have a select, right? We have a drop down where we can select the size of the heading. So let me just quickly show you. If you had a select here, select, right? And which we style here as well, class form control. And we have various options. Here we would have several options, right? And typically there would be 6 sizes that you can choose from. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And typically you would associate a value with each one of these select options, right? So for instance, you would provide a value, the actual value that would be sent out to the server, right? So for instance, this one might be 1. So this is only for human consumption. Right? This is what the user sees. For instance, you might say, you know, I don't know, extra large or something, right? Extra large, and the values would be listed here. This is what actually would go out, the actual token, the actual value that would go out to the server. So we can copy that and paste those here, and this would be 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this one might be smallest. So that's only for human consumption. So we have that drop down that shows the labels for the humans, but the actual value is what you put in the value. All right. Notice that here the select does not have the 5 pixels. Right. It doesn't have those 5 pixels. So even though we had set it for the input fields, right, we never did it for the select. So we can go back to the style sheet and say that. Not only for the input field with the form control, not only for the text area of the form control, but also with the selects with the form control. Right? And always remember to put things in their own line to make things more readable. There we go. Does that make sense? All right. All right. Okay. I think we are a little bit ahead of schedule. Let me save this.